think Colonel Versio had me sit down, and then he said, "Eric's been in an accident." He couldn't tell me at that point if he was dead or alive.
As a fighter pilot, especially as a single-seat fighter pilot, you thrive on control. You want to control the environment. You want to control your jet. You know, you're not flying an airplane when you get in the airplane. You're getting in and you're strapping on a backpack, and that becomes an extension of you. And you want to be in complete control of that machine. And at this particular point where I felt like I didn't have enough runway to go and I didn't have enough runway to stop, it's that ultimate loss of control, because there's nothing I felt like I could do at that point to salvage the situation. There's just not a worse feeling in the world than when you don't have options as a pilot. After the accident happened, the first person I saw was our maintenance officer, Thunderbird 11, Major Smith, and Senior Master Sergeant Trip Bolding, the first two guys on scene, followed shortly thereafter by the Dayton Fire Rescue. And then 30 minutes later, roughly, the Wright Pat Fire Rescue, Crash Rescue guys came over. And I credit those guys with saving my life and saving Ken's life, because as we're waiting there, as we're trying to get out, you know, you have an F16 in an unprecedented position and just some of the worst weather that Dayton has seen in their history. And so it was very humbling for me that these guys would risk their lives, because the ejection seat was still armed. We were trying to safe it, but these guys were in there crawling up, talking to me, keeping me conscious, keeping me engaged, trying to dissuade some of the pain. You know, so that was the initial set of actions that essentially saved my life and saved Ken's life. Once they pulled us out of the airplane, about at the 90-minute point for me, and then about 2 hours for Ken, they put me in an ambulance. I went with Thunderbird 9, our flight doc, over to the local hospital in Miami Valley. I just can't thank the surgeons and the nurses and the staff there enough. They not only took care of my family when my family got there, but they just took such great care of me. Immediately up to surgery, I had 3 surgeries while I was there in their care, and I had some of the best surgeons in the world operating on me, and they saved my life. When I was in the hospital, I had a doc come over from Wright Pat, a reserve doc, and he looked at all my stuff and he goes, "Man, you'll be lucky to walk, but I don't ever think you're going to fly again." And that negative attitude is not what I needed at that time. You know, and that's why I want to tell these guys, you know, if you're going through adversities, if you're going through struggles, you need to stay positive. You need to surround yourself with people that believe in you and that are going to support you and push you to reach goals. And the goals don't have to be lofty goals. When I first came out of surgery, my goal in game was to get back to flying. But at first it was to, hey, stand up next to my bed. And then it was going to be to take 2 steps and then walk to the door and then walk around the hallway. You know, baby incremental steps in order to get to your ultimate end state, because you can't just jump from, hey, you had major surgery to now you're back in an airplane. It takes time. So you got to let your body heal. You've got to develop that patience, and you have to take pride and be thankful when you achieve these small victories.
He's really positive, and I think what has been most impressive to me is how patient he is.
His injuries were rather significant. Function was limited to a very large degree, and he obviously had high goals and aspirations. He wanted to get back to flying, he wanted to get back to being active, so it was my job to take this long journey that he had and break it up into bite-sized pieces.
So I always set a step goal for myself every day as I continue to improve, whether it was today I'm going to take 100 steps, tomorrow I'm going to take 125, the next day I'm going to do 150, and then I'm going to just keep pushing myself to now I want to take 10,000 steps a day, or I want to go run 2 miles, or I want to do whatever the case may be. I'm going to go run a half marathon this summer. I want to do things to continue to push myself, but I want to talk to airmen about being resilient, about the power of positive thinking, about keeping a positive mental attitude, because all those things are what ultimately is going to get you to achieve those goals.
Got it.
As Thunderbirds, we always get the opportunity to go out and we showcase the best of our Air Force, right? We showcase precision flying, we showcase precision movements, we showcase the pride, the professionalism that is our Air Force. But we don't always get the chance to show the resiliency piece of our Air Force. So when adversity strikes, in my situation, being told that, hey, you're going to be lucky to walk again, you may never fly again, that was tough to hear. And I told our flight doc and I told my wife, I said, I'm not going to take that for an answer. And so the power of positive thinking and having a positive mental attitude going forward is so crucial, but it's not something you can do alone. And so I would stress to the people out there, whether you're struggling with something physically or mentally, is that you need help from others and you need a support structure, because as strong as you may think you are physically and mentally, when adversity hits, the support structure, your family, your friends, your base, your airmen, that's who you're going to fall back on. And that's the reason that I'm able to stand or sit here and talk to you today, knowing that I'm going to go back to flying, go back to Davis Mountain here in a little bit and start flying the A-10 again, and get back up in the air and get back to providing world-class close air support, because people supported me. Not just because I was positive and worked hard and had a desire to get better, but because I had my wife, my friends, my squadron, my teammates rally around me and push me to get to that point that they knew I could get to. They approached an aircraft in the pouring rain with an armed ejection seat, thousands of pounds of fuel, hydrazine, and shards of plexiglass and metal, and said, "Getting to Ken and Speedy is more important to me than my own safety." If you ask anyone on the team involved in the rescue, they all say the same thing: he would do it for me. It's why we are an elite team. Every morning when I get up, I look at my scars, at the 6-inch incision over my ribs where they removed a piece of metal that nearly took my life, at the slice down my lat where the doctor went in to stop me from drowning in my own blood, at the quarter-size holes where chest tubes once sat, and I think to myself, earn it. I am forever grateful to these three, their sacrifices, and to all that aided in my recovery in every capacity.